So pretty much this video is how to survive a 3-day water fast. No, your body's not going to kill itself, it's not going to starve itself, it's not going to start eating itself, it's not going to chew away your muscle. I do a 3-day fast probably once a month because it just helps with my weight loss goals. This most recent one I did, I was a little bit bloated beforehand and I had a lot of salty foods and carbs leading up to it. So to survive the water fast and make it bearable, that's the big thing. I mean, again, unless you have some severe medical issues, you're not gonna die, you're not gonna go to the hospital. But this video is more on how to just, kind of enjoy the fast. Some people talk about moments of enlightenment like that. I just do it because it saves money. You lose a lot of water weight and bloating and obviously fat. If you're doing a 3-day water fast and you're consuming no calories, depending on, the average person, say, you burn 2,000 calories to 3,000 calories a day, just depends on your metabolism and activity level. You'll probably lose in the 3-day water fast, you'll lose 2 to 3 pounds of just body fat because, 3,500 calories is equal to a pound. So it's really good for just burning pure fat because your body has no food, so it has to burn fat. And your body actually goes into this weird mode where your metabolism and human growth hormone increases, and so you will preserve your muscles. Versus if you just do a long-term fast, like not a long-term fast, but like a long-term period of really, really low calories, especially a lot of calories that like come from carbohydrates and sugars. Like if you're eating like 500 calories a day over a long period of time, like yes, your body's probably gonna go for its muscle, it's gonna screw up your metabolism. It's just not good. So when you actually fast, it's kind of like what our ancestors did. I mean, they didn't have 3 meals a day or 6 meals a day. They'd have to, hunt, find the animals and kill them and then have a big feast. A big example of animals that kind of do this now that aren't cavemen, lions. They're not all skinny and scrawny. I mean, lions are pretty muscular and they eat like once a week or something like that, but it's a big giant dinner and then they sleep. So obviously it does preserve muscle, just looking at that. I mean, you can do the research you want on your own. Make sure it's from like actual scientific articles when you do your research, not from something like cosmopolitan.com or Dr. Oz. Usually if there's like a sponsored web page and I see a bunch of links where people are trying to plug in supplements or sell you something, or I discredit it. Like it needs to come from an academic journal that's just scientific and no bias. So again, this past 3-day fast I lost about 15 pounds in 3 days. Obviously, it's not all body fat. I mean, you'd have to be pretty dumb and like to even believe that. Most of it's water weight, which it still feels good when you drop a lot of water weight like that because your clothes fit better, you're less bloated, your joints feel better. Like the biggest reason that I love to do it is it just reduces inflammation. Like you feel light on your feet, your knees feel better, you have more energy. And yeah, but if you just go binge eating like pizza and tacos and all kinds of stuff and milkshakes, and then you just say, all right now I'm gonna stop eating for 3 days, it's gonna mess up your blood sugar, especially if you're older or depending if you have a high carbohydrate diet. So we're gonna get into the steps right now. Number 1, when you're preparing for the water fast for 3 days, usually up to 2 or 3 days before I do one, I like to try to cut my carbs and have high fats that are very satiating, healthy fats, stuff from like avocados, eggs, stuff like that. So you want to like slowly kind of get your blood sugar like to not crash by just cutting off food. You want to kind of just get into a slight ketosis, and then so once you're kind of used to that and your body's getting a little more adjusted to burning fat instead of carbohydrates and glucose, then, like I said, I do it for about 2 or 3 days before. Usually the day before the fast, this is the big one. This is how you prepare and make sure that you don't get the keto flu, you don't have like weird electrolyte imbalances, this is where I like to vitamin load, mineral load, electrolyte load. So here's some clips of the foods that I'll usually eat. I really like to get some kale chips from Whole Foods and some other places, just kale chips, and then I will dip them into guacamole because the kale chips by themselves are a little bit strong, and kale is loaded with fiber and potassium and a ton of other vitamins. I mean, vegetables have way more vitamins than fruits, which, you know, everyone's like, oh, can I eat sugar? Can I eat fruit? Well, if you're really trying to be healthy, just cut out fruit and get rid of the fructose and all of that, because it's still sugar, and when it hits your bloodstream, your body's insulin is still gonna spike and it's still gonna store fat. I mean, you can get fat from eating a lot of fruit, so don't listen to what all these weird hippies that have no scientific backing say. So I mean, just eat more vegetables. Everybody in the world needs to eat more vegetables. Vegetables pretty much better than fruits anyway. So I mean, if you're gonna eat your fruits and veggies, just eat more veggies. So yeah, and then I mean, if you're gonna eat a good fruit, eat avocados, because they have a healthy fat, protein, a lot of fiber, no sugar, pretty much no carbs, way tons of vitamins, and they actually have the most potassium, which is, again, what you're really gonna need as a really good electrolyte, and to help with your thyroid and insulin pumps and insulin resistance and fat burning and all these hormones. Potassium is gonna make a big difference. So taking kale chips and then dipping them into guacamole, which is just crushed avocados pretty much, you're getting a ton of your potassium and a lot of vitamins, healthy fats, fiber. You know, that stuff's gonna also help fill you up for the next 3 days and help with your blood sugars and your electrolytes, so you're not feeling bad. You pretty much, if you don't have like high blood pressure or any other kind of issues going on, it's okay to use a lot of salt on these few days, because I'm gonna get into that later on. So I will do that. I will just, you know, I'll sometimes eat boiled eggs, get some vitamins that way. And yeah, so I mean, here's a few other examples of things I eat. I really like to eat the cauliflower mashed potatoes imitation, because a lot of fibers, more vitamins and minerals, and it actually tastes pretty good. So I'm gonna do like a little recipe and review on that food coming up soon in a future video. So pretty much, long story short, before you start your 3-day water fast, you need to load up on a lot of vitamins and minerals. I will actually take 2 multivitamins, like 1-a-day mints for me, multivitamins. I'll pretty much take those, and usually maybe twice as many fish oils. So pretty much I'm just loading up my nutritional reserves, so I don't have any deficiencies or get depleted. And I mean, for the most part, when you're actually fasting, your body's gonna start holding on to the vitamins and minerals and electrolytes. So I just like to, you know, make sure that it's comfortable. Now, the first day when I'm doing a water fast, I just drink water. You know, I may have a little bit of caffeine, and maybe not fully water fast, whatever, you know. I'll just have some caffeine, but again, 0 calories, 0 sugar. You can't have anything. I'll just have like some type of caffeinated drink the morning of my first day, you know, and that also kind of helps clean out my bowels from the past few days, because you also don't want a lot of food sitting in your gut for a lot of days, kind of like rotting, because then when you do eat again, like, first of all, I'm telling you, when you eat after doing a long-term fast, within an hour or two, like, you need to be near a toilet. Please do not break a water fast when you're like at work dealing with business meetings and you're gonna be busy all day. Like, please break it on a day where you know you're gonna have a lot of free time. So the first day I just drink normal water, and then depending how I'm feeling on the second day, I will add this magical stuff. This is just Himalayan pink salt. It has a little more potassium in it than other salts, but for the most part, potassium isn't too much of an issue for me, especially because, again, we did some loading the day before. You may want to add more potassium if you're doing like some high athletic training while fasting, which, I mean, fasting can improve your athletic ability, but this stuff, this pink Himalayan salt, is a lot more natural. You don't want to be taking freaking table salt that's iodized, all that crap. I mean, if you can't get a hold of this, sea salt also works. But I just like this because it actually has like a decent taste, and I mean, I guess it looks cool. But you're gonna take that and you're going to sprinkle. I sprinkle throughout the day, probably close to maybe like half a cap or half a cap full. I don't know. Just, you have to gauge how much salt you're gonna use. So you're gonna put salt in your water. I usually just put it in the Smart Water because it tastes a little bit better and I can deal with it. So you put the salt in your water, shake it up, mix it up, and you're gonna drink it. It's not gonna taste the best, trust me, but it's really gonna help kind of elevate your blood pressure. Because usually on like, especially the third day, I learned this the hard way, and then actually the end of the second day. If you're doing a really long water fast and you're just drinking pure water, first of all, you're not eating any food. You're not consuming anything. So on top of your body burning carbohydrates, which carbohydrates usually per gram, you have about 3 to 3.5, maybe a little more, like grams of water that are attached to the carbohydrates. And so whenever you consume and bring in a carb, you'll bring in 3 grams of water. When you expel carbohydrates, you're gonna lose some water. On top of, you not eating and not having any sodium, which salt and sodium retains water also, that's gonna flush out. So that's also part of the reason why you lose a ton of water weight. Like, depending on how bloated you are, you're gonna lose over 10 pounds of water weight within those few days. So when you're losing all that salt in that water, it's, first of all, it's gonna dehydrate you, and it's going to just take out a lot of electrolytes and minerals that go with you. So, your body, you're not consuming any carbs or salt when you're drinking water all day, so it's harder for your body to hold on to that water and stay hydrated. So when you add the salt, it helps your body just retain and hold on to the water, and then on top of it keeping you more hydrated. When you add salt to your water or non-caloric fasting safe drinks, it also just, salt naturally raises your blood pressure. That's why, I mean, they're always telling people with like really high blood pressure, hey, cut down on the sodium, stop with all the processed fast foods, lower your sodium because it's just gonna raise your blood pressure more. Well, again, your blood starts getting a lot thinner when you're doing a water fast. So you start to feel dizzy and lightheaded. I mean, if you just look up symptoms of long-term fasting or you talk to other people, they'll say that, oh, I had to stand up really slow, or else I would feel like I'm gonna black out. Some people have blacked out. You'll feel a little bit dizzy, you'll feel out of it. Sometimes you just kind of feel, you'll even get migraines or headaches. That's actually what inspired me to go buy this, is because I was hiking around the Grand Canyon. I mean, I didn't go in it, I was just kind of along the rim, and I just kind of started feeling like a little oozy and dizzy. And then I started getting a migraine kicking in, and I had to lay down, and I was just like, where am I? I started feeling bad. And I added some salt to some water when I stopped at a Walmart, and it felt like everything just went away. Like, it was complete magic. So apparently there's another brand called No Salt, and it has more potassium. I haven't done any research on that, but just from my suggestion, just add some pure salt, sea salt, or this to your water if you're getting dizzy or lightheaded, or you feel just kind of weak. Because before, I hated doing long-term water fasts. I just would get dizzy, I felt like crap, I had no energy, I was sluggish. I just thought it was because I didn't have any food, but I figured out it was more of a blood pressure issue. So once I started taking salt into my drinks, the third day of your water fast, if you have enough salt, it feels like the first day. You feel pretty great. So after you make it through the 3 days of water fasting, you're going to break the fast slightly. You don't want to be going and getting a super mega milkshake with ice cream and some really heavy, strong, cooked hard meats, like burger, a really thick, well done burger, and just a lot of stuff that's going to cause a lot of stress on your stomach. Because when you water fast, your enzymes and the good bacteria in your stomach kind of dies. So you need to break the fast with like some liquids. The best thing is get some bone broth. You can get it at Whole Foods. There's a good brand called Kettle and Fire. It's pretty good. It's a little pricey. You can make some at home if you have a lot of time. On top of that, after the bone broth, what I like to do about an hour after I consume the bone broth is I will get some yogurt. So this is the yogurt I use. It's a grass-fed, plain, full-fat, organic yogurt, Greek yogurt. So it has more fat and less sugar because you don't want to spike your insulin way too much, and it's going to slowly digest. And then this particular brand has so many good probiotics, because when you buy those cheap yogurts at stores, a lot of the probiotics, the bacteria, they're kind of dead, like, and there's not that many, and there's not a good variety of them. So when they add all those like fruit flavors, that just kind of makes it worse. So you want to get a really good probiotic yogurt. And then, so I'll consume that, and then, you know, maybe I'll wait another like hour or so, or less, just depending on how my stomach is feeling. And I'll have some sauerkraut, the raw kind. You got to make sure it's the kind that's going to have a lot of probiotics in it too. Because remember, you need to kind of bring back your gut flora and all of the healthy bacteria that's going to help you digest. And then, you know, these still have calories in them, but they're very light amount of calories, and, you know, there's not too many carbs and crazy stuff to send your hormones all over the place. So you're going to slowly start waking up your digestive system and building up the probiotics and bacteria. You know, once they start getting flowing and everything, you can kind of reintroduce some healthier foods. You know, you want to, for the most part, try to kind of stay low carb the first day you break the fast, and then I guess the next day, you know, depending on how your stomach feels. Usually it's a 3-day fast, so, you know, you don't need as much time to get back into eating as, you know, if you're doing a 10 or 20-day fast, which those are going to need more time to adjust to eating again. So, you know, once you break the fast in a safe way, just give it some time and try it again. Let me know if you guys have any questions on fasting. I've been doing intermittent fasting kind of on and off for about 5 or 6 years. I've been doing more of the long-term fast, like 3 days or more, probably for the past half year, maybe a little bit longer. And, you know, I will do keto every now and then. So leave a comment if you have any questions, and I hope this really helped you get along on how to do a water fast without feeling like death and being absolutely hungry and miserable, because that used to be my issue, and now it's kind of fun and you barely feel like you're fasting at all. So subscribe and I should have more stuff. Thanks.